Can you survive the forest that ended the Roman Empire? September 9 AD. You are a Roman legionary. You've marched under the Golden Eagle for 15 years. You have seen the glittering sands of Syria and the rolling, sun-baked hills of Gaul. You belong to the greatest, most devastating military machine the world has ever seen. You are disciplined. You are lethal. Rome is invincible. Or so you think. Today, you are about to step into a forest that will shatter that illusion forever. You're about to march into a slaughter so complete, so terrifying, that it will permanently redraw the maps of the world and give the Roman emperor nightmares until the day he dies. This is the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest, the single grueling ambush that stopped the Roman Empire dead in its tracks, saved the Germanic tribes from total annihilation, and fundamentally changed the course of Western civilization. Stick with me. You are going to walk through that dark, suffocating timberland. You are going to feel the mud pull at your boots. You are going to hear the war horns echoing through the mist, and you are going to discover exactly how an alliance of supposedly primitive tribes did what no king, pharaoh, or empire could do. They broke Rome's supremacy. To understand why you are about to die, you have to understand how you were trained to fight. You have spent your entire career fighting on open plains. Roman warfare is a masterpiece of geometry and engineering. On an open field, your lines are perfectly straight. Your commanders can see for miles. When the order is given, you lock your massive rectangular scutum shields together to form an impenetrable wall of wood, leather, and iron. You advance like a human meat grinder. It is orderly, it is mathematical, it is completely unstoppable. But Germania is not an open field. The forests here are ancient, thick, and utterly alien. The canopy of oak and pine is so dense that it literally blocks out the sun, casting the world in a perpetual, eerie twilight. The trees grow so close together that your 8-foot pilum spear constantly catches on the bark. The ground isn't solid earth. It is a spongy, rotting mess of dead leaves, hidden roots, and sucking mud. Rome's grand strategy was simple: march across the Rhine River, conquer Germania, push the imperial frontier all the way east to the Elbe River, and turn this wild land into another docile, tax-paying province. You are part of a massive occupation force. 3 elite Roman legions, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Alongside you are 6 cohorts of auxiliary troops and 3 squadrons of cavalry. That is roughly 20,000 hardened soldiers. But you aren't just an army. You are a moving city. Behind you trails a massive baggage train stretching for miles, filled with thousands of civilians, merchants, wives, children, slaves, and livestock. You were being led by Publius Quintilius Varus. Varus is an aristocrat. He is an administrator, a politician, a man used to ruling pacified provinces like Syria, where the locals bow to Roman law. He treats Germania not as a war zone, but as a done deal. He is confident, arrogant, and entirely blind to the environment around him. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. The ultimate tragedy is that you trusted your guide. His name is Arminius. He is a prince of the Cherusci tribe, but to you, he is a Roman. He was taken to Rome as a hostage when he was a boy. He speaks flawless Latin. He holds Roman citizenship. He is served with distinction in the Roman military, earning the prestigious rank of equestrian. He eats at Varus's table. He wears Roman armor. What Varus doesn't know, what none of you know, is that Arminius hates Rome with a burning, quiet intensity. He has spent his entire life studying the Roman war machine from the inside out. He knows exactly how you fight, how you communicate, and most importantly, he knows your fatal weaknesses. He knows that a Roman legion on a narrow forest path cannot deploy its devastating battle lines. As the autumn weather turns, Arminius feeds Varus a lie. He reports a small localized rebellion further north. Just a few troublemakers, he promises. We can handle them easily before we march to winter quarters. He convinces Varus to divert the massive Roman column away from the paved, secure military roads and take a shortcut straight through the uncharted depths of the Teutoburg forest. It is a death sentence. As you march deeper into the woods, the skies open up. A violent, relentless autumn storm begins. The rain pours down in sheets. Instantly, the narrow dirt track turns into a river of thick, cloying mud. Your heavy, iron-studded sandals, the caliviae, sink up to the ankles with every step. The mud acts like glue. Your armor, the segmented iron bands of your lorica segmentata, begins to rust. The thick woolen tunic beneath it is completely soaked, adding heavy pounds to your frame. But the worst part is your shield. The Roman scutum is made of layered plywood covered in leather. In the torrential rain, the leather becomes waterlogged. The wood absorbs the moisture. A shield that normally weighs 20 pounds now weighs nearly 40. Your arm aches just holding it. Because of the dense trees, the marching column stretches out thinner and thinner. What should be a tight defensive formation becomes a disorganized, chaotic snake stretching over 15 kilometers long. Communication breaks down entirely. The vanguard at the front has no idea what is happening to the rear guard miles behind them. And then, Arminius slips away. He tells Varus he is riding ahead to gather allied Germanic tribes to help put down the fake rebellion. But he isn't gathering allies for Rome. He is rallying tens of thousands of Germanic warriors who have been waiting in the shadows for this exact moment. The trap is set. You are exhausted, freezing, blind, and completely strung out. It starts with a sound you will never forget. Through the pouring rain and the dense fog, a terrifying guttural roar echoes from the invisible ridges above you. It is the beatus, the Germanic war chant, amplified by thousands of voices bouncing off their shields. Before your officers can even shout an order, the sky turns black. Thousands of heavy javelins, spears, and arrows rain down from the tree line. The first volley rips through your stretched-out column like a scythe. Men fall screaming into the mud, their waterlogged shields failing to protect them, their bodies pinned to the forest floor. Panic erupts. The centurions scream for the men to form up. You try to initiate the testudo, the famous tortoise formation, locking shields together to create a roof against the projectiles. But it fails. The ground is too uneven. The massive roots of the ancient oaks trip the men. You bunch up, but there are gaps everywhere. A Germanic spear slips through a gap and pierces the man next to you through the throat. He falls, breaking the formation, exposing you entirely. Then, the barbarians charge. They don't fight like civilized armies. They don't line up. They attack in terrifying high-speed waves, bursting out from behind giant ferns and oak trunks. They target the chaotic baggage train, slaughtering the horses, setting fire to the wagons, and cutting down the panicked civilians. You try to draw your gladius, the brutal Roman short sword designed for stabbing, but you are packed so tightly against the trees and your panicked comrades that you don't even have the room to swing your arm. You are completely neutralized. The slaughter continues until nightfall. When the sun finally sets, the survivors try to do what Romans do best: build a fortified marching camp. But you are trying to dig trenches in a swamp. The walls of mud collapse as fast as you build them. All night, you sit in the freezing rain, listening to the screams of your captured comrades being tortured and sacrificed to the Germanic gods in the dark woods just beyond the firelight. Day 2 is a desperate, bloody march. Varus orders all the wagons and non-essential equipment burned. You abandon the wounded. You try to force your way out of the forest toward the safety of the Rhine, but Arminius is a master of psychological warfare. He doesn't engage in a pitched battle, he hits and runs. His warriors strike from the flanks, butcher 100 men and melt back into the trees before you can counterattack. The rain never stops. By day 3, the physical and mental exhaustion breaks you. the surviving legions stumble into a geographical choke point at a place called Calcris. On your right is an impassable deep swamp. On your left is a steep wooded hill. And hidden at the base of that hill, the Germanic tribes have built a massive earthen wall, camouflaged with grass and branches. As the Roman vanguard marches into the bottleneck, the trap is sprung for the final time. The tribesmen swarm over the wall. The Roman cavalry panics and flees, abandoning the infantry. The line completely collapses. It is no longer a battle. It is an execution. Publius Quintilius Varus, realizing his total failure, looks at the carnage. Rather than be captured and tortured, he draws his sword and falls on it, committing suicide in the mud. Without their commander, the remaining legionaries break. Some fight to the death. Others drop their weapons and run blindly into the swamp, only to drown under the weight of their own armor. The 3 golden eagle standards, the sacred soul of the Roman legions, are captured, ripped from the hands of the dying standard bearers, and carried off into the dark woods. By the end of the 3rd day, almost 20,000 Roman soldiers had been wiped from the face of the earth. The invincible Roman war machine had been entirely swallowed by the forest. When the news finally reached Rome, it sent a shockwave of terror through the capital. The empire had suffered defeats before, but nothing like this. 3 entire veteran legions simply erased from existence. The Roman historian Suetonius wrote that Emperor Augustus was so traumatized by the loss that he stopped cutting his hair and beard for months. He would wander the marble halls of his palace in the dead of night, violently banging his head against the heavy wooden doors, screaming out into the darkness, "Quintili vare, legiones redde! Varus, give me back my legions." But they were never coming back. The Battle of the Teutoburg Forest didn't just destroy an army, it destroyed a massive imperial ambition. The psychological trauma was so profound that the Roman Empire permanently abandoned the idea of conquering Germania. They pulled their forces back across the Rhine River, fortified the banks, and declared it the absolute edge of the civilized world. If Arminius had not betrayed Rome, if Varus had successfully marched through that forest and pacified the tribes, the entirety of Europe would have been Romanized. The Germanic languages, the culture, the very DNA of what would eventually become medieval Europe, England, and modern Germany would have been replaced by Latin culture. Instead, the tribes stayed free. One dark forest, one brilliant betrayal, 3 days of unending rain and blood, and the unstoppable Roman Empire stopped. So, I have to ask you in the comments below, which ancient battle do you think had the biggest butterfly effect on world history? And honestly, if you were marching in that column under Varus, how long do you think you would have survived? If this deep dive into the mud and blood of the Teutoburg Forest hit you as hard as it hit me, do me a favor and smash that like button right now. It tells the algorithm to push this history to more people. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon, because next week we're leaving the forests of Europe and heading east for an even darker alternate history. What if the Mongols never stopped at Baghdad? Drop a fire emoji in the comments if you want more ancient betrayal stories. Thanks for marching with me. Stay curious, and remember, sometimes the trees are the real enemy.